You're lying in bed at night thinking of that last piece of pie that was left over from dinner, when that nasty floor squeak gives you away again. Hi, I'm Bob Schmidt with Home Remodel Workshop. Do you have that irritating floor squeak that during the day you don't seem to notice it so much, but at night it seems like it amplifies like no other? We'll give you some tips on how to take care of that. The most common cause of floor squeaks are deep beneath this carpet. The subfloor, which this carpet pad and carpet are tacked to, and the floor joists that are underneath it have released over time with house heave and stresses put up and down on the floor. You need to reattach that subfloor back to that framing below. Probably the most difficult part of this project is identifying where the joists are below this carpet, because obviously you can't just rip into this and destroy your carpet. Let's go ahead and get some of this stuff moved, and I'll show you how you can do that. The tools and materials you're going to need for doing this project is a simple wire coat hanger. If you have a vinyl coated coat hanger, that's fine because you can trim the vinyl coating off. A little bit of tape, a tape measure, some 3-inch drywall screws, or in this case is some galvanized decking screws, as long as it has about 1 inch of smooth section up at the top, a drill, a bit, and some type of something to cut the wire with, the coat hanger with, either the side cutters or a piece of pliers to snap it off. The first thing you're going to need is about a 6 or 8 inch piece of straight wire coat hanger. Take the straight piece of wire, stick it in your drill, chuck it up like you would chuck any drill bit, tighten it down, and you're ready to go. You need to determine the thickness of this carpet and pad down to the subfloor. What you want to do is, holding on to the wire, just go ahead and start it until it pops through the carpet. As soon as it pops through the carpet, go down until you hear that subfloor. Hold it with your finger, bring it out. Now, by simply measuring it, I know that my carpet and pad thickness is about 1 inch. What I want to do is add 3 inches onto that, and I'm going to put a little tape flag on here. Now that you have your little flag on at 4 inches up, we're ready to see if we can find these floor joists. Supporting the coat hanger with your free hand, it'll spin right through your hand easily, and not applying too much pressure because you will bend this piece of wire. Go ahead, get your wire started through the carpet. Get your drill spinning. Go ahead and just keep a little bit of pressure, not super hard. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it will go through the subfloor. Now, if you get down to the bottom of the to where this flag, there. Did you see that drop? Now you can see that this is sliding easily up and down. What's that tell me? That tells me that there is no joist right underneath where this wire is. Now, if you have an unfinished area below this floor where you can actually see the joist, simply go ahead and unchuck the drill, let this stick out like this, go down in the basement, find where that wire is sticking through the subfloor, and measure where you are to the floor joist, and then you'll get a starting point for your floor joist for where you're going to screw this floor down. If it's finished underneath here and you can't see anything underneath here at all, what you have to do is continue drilling over until you hit something solid all the way to this flag. If you hit something solid all the way to the flag, you know you're on a joist. I drilled about 6 holes at about 3/4 of an inch apart until finally I hit a floor joist. I'll show you how I did that. But first I want to explain, if you go beyond 16 inches left to right, then odds are you're between 2 floor joists that run this direction. So what you want to do is you want to change directions and start piloting holes this direction until you find a floor joist. But right now we found this floor joist right here. I know it's running in this direction. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a piece of tape here that's going to let me know that this floor joist is right here. Now, the reason I know there's a floor joist here is because when I drilled down before and there is no floor joist, it drops free right about here. Well, now in drilling here, what happens is when I go down and keep drilling, taking my time again, steadying my wire, not applying too much pressure, once I get down to my fingers got to move because of the tape, I'm still hitting solid. And as you see, the closer the tape's getting, at this point right here, I would be dropping through if there was no floor joist. But since there is a floor joist, I keep drilling, it's still solid. My tape gets down to the top of the carpet, I stop. I can hear that there's still something solid under there. So I know that I should have been through the carpet and subfloor, but since there's still something solid at 4 inches of depth, I know that this is a floor joist. Now that you have the location of your first floor joist and you know which direction the joists are running, simply lay your tape measure on here to the middle of this mark, come over 16, stick another piece of tape, come over 16 in the center, stick another piece of tape, and then do the same thing on the opposite side of the room, and then you'll have, basically you'll know where the joists are running from side to side. You can run a string or put a straight edge along there, so you're going to know where you need to drill to get rid of that floor squeak. Not all floor joists are 16 inches apart. Some of them will have a 12-inch spread because of longer spans and smaller size joists. You need to do a retest over here to make sure that there's still a joist there. If there's not a joist there, you may need to go back and check to see if these are 12-inch spreads. After double checking in a few places and adjusting my tape to make sure I'm still on the joist, here's where my 3 joists are. Here's where my squeak is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this piece of board just adjacent to my pieces of tape, and I know where I'm going to want to screw is about this far off of this board to get it about in the center of that joist. What you have here is you have your carpet, your pad, your subfloor, and now you know where your floor joist is. What you want to do is take your 3-inch screw with that smooth section on the top, and you want to run the screw down into the carpet until the head of the screw is even with the top of the carpet. No more than that. If you drive this screw all the way down to here, it's going to pucker the carpet in. You're going to be able to see where that screw is, and that's not what you want to do. You want to stop as soon as the head of this screw gets even with the top of this carpet like it is right here. Now all we want to have screwed is from the subfloor down into the floor joist. We don't want any screws sticking out above the subfloor. I'll show you how to take care of that. Okay, starting closest to where my floor squeak is, which is right here, what I do is I take, without the drill, no drill or anything yet, I take the screw, put it in straight up. I turn it in by hand. Why do I turn it in by hand? Because I don't want to take a chance on that drill spinning real fast and grabbing the fabric of this carpet. Now see how it's starting to lift the carpet there a little bit? Once I get to that point, I take my screw and I rotate it in a nice little circle. Why am I doing that? I'm trying to create a little bit of a hole in that fabric so that it allows the screw to go through without grabbing a hold of the carpet fabric and possibly pulling it up. So I just rock it around in a little bit of a circle back and forth until I'm pretty confident that I can turn it in. And see, it's grabbing it, still bringing it up. So I'm going to just keep doing this until I'm confident I can get it in and out of this hole pretty easily. Because I don't want to take any chances on damaging this carpet. Just spin it back and forth. It might take you a few minutes, but you're trying to get rid of that floor squeak once and for all. Okay, once I'm pretty confident I got it to that point, I take the carpet, I push it down around the screw a little bit. Again, this is kind of a letting the screw move free in the carpet. Now, it's still grabbing the carpet and pulling it up a little bit. I'll pull it up, push the screw back down, and get it to the point where it's starting, it feels pretty free now. Now it's time for me to go ahead and take my drill and put my screw tip in it. You'll notice my knees and my weight are real close to where this squeak is. What I want to do is I want to hold that subfloor down as tightly against that joist as I can before I start screwing. So I'm actually going to screw right between my legs. Now when I screw this down, I'm going to stop with the top of this screw just at the top of this fabric because that's as deep as I need to go. Right about there. Now I know that this screw is through that carpet, through the pad, through the subfloor, and into that floor joist. Now all I got to do is take care of this screw, because obviously you can't be walking on that. That would hurt. Now at this point, I can hear that the floor squeak is already getting a little quieter. I'll probably have to add a few more screws up and down, and maybe even on the adjacent joists on either side. But right now I want to get this out of my way. What I do is I'm going to take a pair of channel locks, or you can take some lineman's pliers or whatever you like, pushing the carpet down and grabbing a hold of the edge of the screw. I'm going to twist it side to side or front and back, just a little at a time, not in a big hurry, and that section of screw will snap right off. Now you might say, well, yeah, but isn't there a sharp little thing sticking out of the subfloor that when I walk across here, it's going to poke me? Well, not only do you have the carpet and the padding, but I'll show you how this works when this breaks off. I ran this screw through this carpet, through this pad, through this subfloor, and into this floor joist. I'm going to take the channel locks just like I did with my real floor. I'm going to slide it down over the screw about, a half inch into the carpet or so. And I'm going to break that screw off, just like I did on the other carpet. I'm going to take it out, and now this time I'm going to move this away so you can see that this screw snapped off just below the surface of the subfloor. There is no screw sticking up into the padding or into the carpet, so when you walk across that, you'll feel nothing. After I shut the camera off, it probably took me about 45 minutes and about 18 screws. You can see some of them are closer together, some of them are a little farther apart. If I put a screw in and the squeaks still seem bad in that area, I added another one to it. But after that amount of time, that floor squeak that's been here for years, that kept me from getting my dessert, is gone. Tonight, that pie is mine. I'm Bob Schmidt with Home Remodel Workshop. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps you out.